Oh no, his hair looks not as good. No, it's not. No, you calm down now. You lay down and be calm. Picture I'm a man who's 72. I'm a man who's 72. I just made number 2 on the toilet bowl and pooed it out my backside and kept pooting. And I'm just laying here and my butthole's over to the side down here, and I got done doing that, but I didn't say any of it out loud. I was really quiet, and I just took a crap and pooting, and then I just laid down and just made a face like and my butt's over to the side, and I can still feel it a little bit on my own place where I use the bathroom. I don't want to think about it. And this is the face I made. But it feels comforting that I finally used the bathroom, and here's what the face I made looked like. No, 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 no. No. Maybe it looks like this. I didn't do it. It's a little 72-year-old man. He's pissed. He is pissed. Don't mess with him. Got a bunch of water bottles in case you try to fuck up our Texas with the weather and make it cold. Fuck you. I got as many water bottles saved. He's pissed off. Somebody in Texas pissed off. He's going to save a bunch of water bottles. What? He's crazy. He's crazy. He's crazy. Nobody changes the weather but God. And God's not really, well, maybe God has a body in real life too. We're made after his image and likeness, so he's a body, but he's a soul. So no one has, he has a body too. So nobody besides God has control of the weather. It's just how it is. And the weather may be subtly influenced by how human beings interact with one another. I don't know if that's true or not, but God is the one who makes the weather the way it is. Saving a bunch of water bottles, the most powerful political one on earth you ever seen. What? What is he talking about? I don't know. I got the thought of him the other day doing that. Some person in Texas, but this is just somebody using the bathroom. He's 76. I know. He's somebody else, and he quietly didn't say anything, and he used the bathroom and kept pooting. He kept making poots and cracking poot, little poots, and he kept feeling it for all that, and and he didn't make any expression on it. He didn't have any. He was thinking about something else, and he was he was he was thinking about something else that was like he thought was a bad problem, but it wasn't really that bad of a problem. It wasn't really that bad of a problem. Anyway, and he finally got done doing it all, and it felt like he was sitting on a motorcycle, like it felt good to his body, like the engine of the motorcycle was on. It felt good to his pants, the way they fit. and it felt good. And he was laying there in the bed after he got done pooting a bunch and stuff. And he's not gay. He was not thinking anything gay. That was the last thing on his mind. He didn't even care, and he was aware that he just pooted, and his butt was like somewhere to the side, and he wasn't even thinking about it, and he was just laying there, and he went. And he just did this. No, he didn't say anything. He just did this. He made a face like this. This it looked like his butt that was putting all this stuff out. No, that would be awful. He went like this. No, no, no. And then he said, it wasn't that bad. And then he said, da 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 da. Man goes this. He said, and he hit his head on this. He hit his head on the. Man said, He hurt his head. Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome news. Somebody is flying here from Colorado to look at my house. Is this straight up or down? Straight. Straight is great. Great. Straight. I look really bad. I went outside today and my hair was so blonde. I felt like a really old guy after I had filmed this video looking really young and really good last night. And then it was like I was too much into my looks and worked too hard at my looks, so God wanted me to look old. So I went outside and it looked like I was an old gray-haired old person that you could see my age. And the guy who delivered my groceries here, but then I still look cool. Like the first impression he had was walking down the steps. He thought, who is this? Or something. This person like he saw my legs slowly walking down the steps. And then I didn't want the glory for it. I didn't want to act like I was some really cool person. And so I acted humble and good. And it caused me to somehow, his first impression looking at my face was that I looked old because I looked so good and young in my videos. And then I got a little pissed off at it. I was like, I'm not going to keep looking old. And so I tried to make my eyes look, well, when I was outside, I made my eyes look young and made sure that was the thing that I was looking at him. Like my eyes and all this looked like good looking and young. And I did that. And that was the second impression he had. I was like, oh crap, why did I do that? That's bad and wrong. I intentionally tried to look young, so I didn't look old. And then he said, are you showing me the groceries? He was black. And I can't remember the last time when I've seen someone who was black, so I didn't know what to expect. But I was nice to him. And it was good. I was nice to him. And then I think I got the idea. The thing that looked old about me was that I tried to look too white, that my hair was light in color when the sun was shining on it. It looked really light. And so it was like, and he had dark hair and looked kind of young, even though he was maybe in his 30s. And, he's black and he had dark hair and was kind of young. So I made him, I made him feel, I tried to stand up for him looking young and good to make him feel better about himself, but it felt gay. So I couldn't even do that. And then, so I got the idea from him. I tried to communicate to him when I was showing him my ID and stuff that I used to have dark hair, and And then I got the idea like it was okay if I just put dark in my hair, then I'd look younger again and wouldn't look like an old man with really white hair that the sun was shining on that looked like, it looked kind of old or something. And I hadn't shaved. And this is like, well, it actually looks dark. It looks dark. I don't know. And but I looked better. I looked better in my video yesterday. I don't know. I don't care. I was being truthful about this video. I could tell I looked older from this angle. I thought I'd show you this is kind of how I looked, I guess, when I went out there. Except it was like, I think I looked a little older than this. I don't know. I felt like I looked really old, and I felt like all that work on working, just the working out and stuff and trying to look younger again so I didn't look fat and old. I was like, no, I looked old, and I felt bad. But it was nice about it. It didn't hurt my health. And then and then by the time he left, he was like, I got the idea I should just make my hair dark again, and then I'd look young, because that was the only thing that looked old, was that the sun was shining. It was a miracle that I wasn't that old. But then I started thinking about Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, who looked like, because he's skinny and getting older, he's maybe 62 or 60 or 58. And I'm not that old, but I feel like I'd like to help Flea lift weights so he doesn't look like a skeleton stomping from like a dead skeleton, who's like so old. And I was like, wow, what happened to Flea one time? And I looked at him, he was so skinny, and he's in good shape again now. I think now he's gained a little muscle and weight. He's gained a little weight and muscle, so now he looks younger, not as skinny, because he was old and skinny. He got older and had gray hair and looked like an old man a little bit sometimes. But sometimes, I'm afraid to say with them, because they're still trying, they're still supposed to be cool or something like that. But they got older. The Red Hot Chili Peppers really got older. They're like 60 years old, or 62 or 59. And he looks like this. Sometimes he just looks like some old, really rich white, or old rich white guy. and I think if he builds up his muscle, it won't look like he's an old. His body's in shape. This is in shape. His body's in shape, but just the illusion, like with his hair being gray, and literally being 60 years old. I was worried for him, so I wanted to believe in him to work out with weights, because he was one of my favorite musicians back a long time ago, but I don't even know who he is. I haven't met him, but yeah, I think he's good. And it was sad, to see that people got older, and they get older. And my dad doesn't worry about it as much as, I don't know. I think he's not as worried about it, but I don't know. He doesn't look like a mean old white guy. My dad doesn't look like one of those mean old white guys who has money or something. He's nice. And when my dad was young, he dyed his hair black, like really dark, just to fit in better with my mom and to act like he was like more Italian, even though he's Irish. He had blonde hair when he has green eyes, or blue. They turned blue now, I think. And it's really weird about my mom. She, I think, has blue eyes. They turned blue. It's really weird. And she's Italian. She's Italian. She's Sicilian. She has darker skin. And my dad is really white. But my dad, to fit in with my mom and do God's work on earth, he dyed his hair darker, black, when he was young. And I just thought, oh, that's how it must have always been. He started getting old, so he put black dye in it. But then I didn't realize, in seeing how he is now, he has light colored hair now, and he used to be blonde. He did it just for my mom and God to be kind and nice at the time. But now he doesn't have to anymore. Now he has really light hair. He looks young. Not young, but he looks younger than he did in his 50s, I think, in his later 50s. He looks younger than he did in his later 50s and 60s. So I don't know how he did that, but I believed in him to look better, to be healthier and live longer. And I used to look down on his appearance and say, oh, I don't want to be old, and I don't want to look like him, or thought, but I don't know. And now he has like light colored hair, and he looks like, he has light colored eyebrows, um, light hair in his arms, and he looks really white. He stopped putting the dark hair dye in his hair. He just didn't have to anymore, I think. And my mom, I think, would look more white if she just wasn't so. I don't know. Like if she made her hair blonde somehow, maybe she'd look like a, I don't know, woman, a white woman with a with a tan. But I don't know if she. It's too weird. It's too weird because my wife has blonde hair. Danica has blonde hair, and so I haven't tried to get my my sisters and my mom into making their hair blonde or anything like that. I don't care. I'll just leave that alone. It's too weird because my wife has blonde hair, and then I started making my hair blonde about the same time she did, and she might not be my wife. So I think she's not my wife. I don't know. So I might not be married. So I don't know. I'm gonna turn the camera away from me, but I don't want to look like an old dude. So I'll probably just shave my facial hair and look younger if I shave my facial hair. And I feel like I crashed a little after yesterday. I've had a hard day. It's been not easy. I hear somebody's car out there. I don't know. I feel like I crashed. Oh, some guy's coming here from Colorado, and he might buy the house. That's tomorrow morning. So I have to leave tomorrow morning. I don't want to talk to him and meet him right at first. I think, I don't know, maybe I should. I want to let him see the house on his own without me here with my mom. He's flying here from Colorado to look at the house. He has money. He has a bunch of money. He's gonna buy the entire house in cash. I've never heard of. I've never known someone to buy a house that expensive, $339,000 in cash. He has cash that he can buy this house in. That's a bunch of money. And you know, Al had that money back in the day. Al had that money back in the day, and now he doesn't have the money. But this guy, it's not that much. Maybe in cash he only has 380,000. Maybe he has 2 million. I don't know if he's a millionaire or he just has a little bit saved from working his entire life. He may be older, maybe younger, but my mom said he's a cash buyer. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. This is a kind of special house, like and he's from Colorado. That's good because I like Colorado. It's kind of like California. It's kind of like California. And I don't know, it doesn't matter to me where somebody's from, but that's kind of cool. I like that about him. I like that he's so interested in the house. He's flying all the way here to look at it. And so he's not like a private jet or something. He's not like really rich, I think. I don't know. So this is amazing. He might buy the house, and just my hard work, my hard work on this house. Uh, for like 7 years, full time work. Most of the work myself. I had to hire other men, and my mom and dad helped me with money, and I had some of my own money from working for them or whatever. But I don't have that much money. I don't have enough money to buy this. I don't have enough money to buy this house in cash. I used to, I think. I thought I did, or I thought I would when I sold this house. I thought I'd have like $400,000 or 500, like about at least $400,000. I thought I'd have a net worth of $400,000, but I don't. Sucks. So I got to get to work. I really got to, I can't stop working because I have kids. I have to pay for the kids too. So it's not enough for all five of us unless I can invest it and get like 16,000 a year from a savings account. I've been researching what to do with my money when I get it from this house, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. We can't live on 16,000 a year. That's all that I get, and then
we can't live on that as a family. So, and I don't know exactly how much I'm going to get. And so it means I have to work more because California is so expensive that, you know, it's not like I'm just going to get to live in a cheap place and pay for myself. I have to pay for my kids and work more. And I'm competing with, like, not competing with, but, you know, my mom and dad have money, and my dad, not my dad, but, yeah. And, Danica's dad and mom, you know, she's a princess. She's a real, she's like, well, for as close to a real princess as I think I've ever met, as I've ever met. And I'd bring her to the famous people at my school. Not, you know, she'd never do anything sex with them. There's never any worry about that. We had trust. We had trust when we were together. The first 8 years we were together, she never would have been with any other man. And and I introduced her to my professor, who like looked at us like, what would we ever do? You know, he thought he was this guy who was nominated for an Academy Award, Peter Medak, and he did The Changeling, which is this cool movie. I think it was 1980, and it was really good. The story and just it was a good movie. And in '78, in 1978, he got nominated for an Academy Award, and he was like director of HBO. And I was in the class, and I brought Danica in to be an actress one time, and he looked at all of us, including me, I think, but I got a little pissed at it and worked harder, and he looked at us like, what are we ever gonna do? You know, like what? How are we ever gonna do that much? We're not gonna be famous. We're not. Like he thought like what could we possibly ever do? Pretty much, but then I got a little pissed, not pissed, but I was determined and I worked harder than the other people at it. And so I don't know if he acknowledged that I would do something with it or not, but he was aware of it. And I walked out of his class sometimes, and he got pissed. He made me sit in the chair, yeah, and I couldn't move. I couldn't move, and like, he was this powerful director. He directed some movies on HBO's Carnival, and like I couldn't listen to his movies in the class. I couldn't understand what they were saying because I some of his movies I didn't like, but some so 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 I couldn't understand what it was. So I just like I couldn't take sitting there, and it was making me feel nervous. I walked out of it. I walked out of the class when he was showing us his movie. And then he got angry and he made me sit there, and but he wasn't that mean about it. And he was aware of me, and then when he met Danica, I don't know how, but he 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 walked up to her. I introduced her to him, and I thought I said I just happened to say, well, I said this is my wife, or my girlfriend or something like that. This is Danica. And he lifted up her. He picked up her hand. Not her. He didn't do any weird things. There's nothing bad about that stuff back then. And he picked up her hand and kissed her on the hand. He kissed her on the hand, and then Ron Jeremy met her on an R-rated movie that I did. I hired Ron Jeremy to be in the movie, and he was just a regular actor. And for some reason, he kissed her on the hand too, like she's a real princess. And Lloyd Kaufman, the head of Troma Movies, I think kissed her on the hand too. I don't know why they kissed her on the hand. It was so weird. She's like a real princess. Her dad is pretty he I used to think he had so much money, but he's nice, but he doesn't have that much. I think my dad has more money than him. I don't know, but he'd get pissed if I said it because he wants to be like a rich man, or he likes being a rich man. He likes to act like he's a rich man, and I think no one ever told him besides me one time, so he didn't even know he was rich, and he thought he kept having to prove it. And I think he has less money than my dad, but it looks like he's really rich because he has a brand new house. He put the money into his house, but he's kind of rich. He may be rich, but I don't know if he qualifies as rich or not. I don't know if he's rich or not, but he's pretty nice and good. But for some reason, she's like a princess. Oh, I know why. I think but I don't know if this is real or not. She has her DNA, like back in her DNA, she was related to Charlemagne, who was like a king or something like that. And there are all these people who are related to Charlemagne, I think, but I don't know, and I think they have royalty in their blood or something like that. Like her grandfather, her grandfather Paul, he's really nice. He's really nice, and he was always really kind to me. And but then one time he got a little pissed off in recent years. I thought for sure he's on his way to heaven one day, and I wanted to live longer, and he did live longer. He outlived his wife, and she was really kind and good. And she just died a couple years ago, or a year, 3 years ago, or something, 2 years ago. And it was weird that she died. I thought she'd lived to be 98, and I think they had royalty in their blood. And then on my side of the family, uh, I think my my great grandmother was royalty. She was a Dutch, but she married the poor clothes maker's son. Not poor, but working class. And she the clothes makers for their family. The clothes maker for their family. Uh, I think his name was Giuseppe. I think, but I don't know. Giovanni, I think. But and he was my mom's grandfather, and I think her name was Conchetta, but I don't know. My mom knows, and they and she was like royalty a little, or kind of, or she was like a duchess or something like that of Italy, in Italy. And then the clothes maker for their family, the woman who made all the clothes for their family, had a son, and he fell in love with her, and they fell in love, but he was just a regular working class person, and her family disowned her. They disowned her because they fell in love. So so she, I don't know. And so then they went to America so they could make more money in America or something like that. And then they owned all these restaurants. They owned like a few restaurants. He worked hard at restaurants, and he owned like a few restaurants, or at least one or a few restaurants, and they made good money, but they worked hard. And they had to do like hard work, and she had to work in the restaurant and stuff. And so they had one restaurant, and then they owned restaurants. And and then she used to give the woman who was like a duchess, something like a duchess or something like that, or a little less or more than that, or a duchess or something in Italy. Um she she would give my grandfather money. She'd give him like for today it would be like, I don't know. She'd give him money to help him with money, and she would just give him money because they had cash from working in the restaurant. So they had a bunch of cash, and she'd help him with money. And he was a musician, and he toured, but he didn't get that famous. And I don't know. My mom pretends he got kind of famous, but I can't find him anywhere in Google. I can't find him anywhere in Google. So I thought I didn't want to do what he did. He settled down when he was 30 years old, and he went back to college because like he saw this guy who was kind of stupid, and he went to college, and he was like, well, if he could go to college, then he thought he'd go to college. And he became an engineer, and then he worked as an engineer, but he like sometimes stayed at home and didn't work. He's he didn't make that much, but he did these big engineer job. He did these big engineer jobs. I think. I think he did. But then in between jobs, he would stay at home. He'd stay at home, and then when he got really old, my grandmother Nornie took care of him, and old and Nornie. I'm not that old, but when he was really old, like 80s, I think, the past 10 years of his life, the past 10 years of his life, he spent like laying in a bed all day. He would lay in a bed, and we called him Papa, and he looked like darker skin, but I think it was just because he was in the sun, and I don't know why, but he was kind of darker skinned. But his nose looked really attractive. Like he had like one of the best looking small noses that looked really good. I don't know. It's just how his nose looked. But he got older in his 80s. He wasn't. But see, the problem was that I saw him out my window one time from heaven, and I tried to stand up for him and say, "Hey, you look good." He has a good looking nose, but he refused. He was in such a beautiful place that he made his nose look blurry, and I couldn't see. I couldn't see what his nose looked like because he made it blurry. And he was without sin. He was without sin. He was in heaven. It was really beautiful. I saw him out the window, so I know he made it to heaven. In the last 10 years, he was like kind of suffering, but he would just lay in a bed all day and only get up to like eat an egg. he, he would like get up and he'd walk with a walker sometimes, and he'd walk into the kitchen and he'd make an egg, and they had this no, this, he had this he had, and yo, and I don't know, and he had like there's this like little silver thing that hold an egg, and he'd put it in there, like he would stand up an egg. He'd put an egg. He'd make an egg, and he would eat that, and he'd have like a spoon. He'd have a spoon, and he'd crack around the edges of the egg, and he'd open up the egg, and he'd like eat it with a spoon. He'd only have one egg. No, I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm laughing wrong. My dad got me to laugh at it. He'd have more. I think sometimes, but for some reason, no. Okay, they were really good people. And he'd have toast. He'd have toast with butter, and he'd make eggs different ways, and he ate enough food. And he was kind of big. He wasn't big. He was like, he wasn't very tall. And he was in good shape till he was in his 60s, maybe 70s. He was in okay shape. He still looked kind of cool. But when I knew him, he was in his like 70s and 80s, and he was starting to lay down on couches and lay in beds more. But he taught me how to play guitar. He's the one who taught me how to play guitar. And he's who I first learned how to play guitar from. So I learned how to play guitar from him. And he played these old Italian songs, and he would use his thumb like Jimi Hendrix, but you know he wasn't. I don't even know if he knew who Jimi Hendrix was. He was a jazz musician from like the 30s and 40s and 20s maybe when he was a kid. Before there was really jazz, he learned how to play guitar, and he played music and he sang, I think, sometimes, but he didn't really sing. He mostly played guitar. I think he sang, but it didn't sound like the way I wanted to sing. I hoped to sing when I started learning singing, but he sang. He really sang, and I don't know how he sang, but I thought it was like, in my stupid way that was wrong. I thought it was like, I thought I wanted to be like Guns N' Roses or Def Leppard, not Def Leppard, like those, like Poison, uh, Guns N' Roses, heavy metal bands and stuff like that. And I thought that was cool. And but I had I learned first from him, and I learned like the old Italian chords that he played, like the regular chords, like there that he played, like G, D seventh, and C. He played G, D seventh, and C, and he'd have chords, he'd call them diminished, and these different chords that he'd play with his fingers, with all his fingers. But I ended up just using my pointing finger to like recreate like the bridge of the guitar where all the strings go, and I'd slide it down the, like I could play it at any place on the guitar to make any chord I wanted, and I'd keep the other three fingers in about the same, pretty much the same position. But I learned all these different ways of playing, and so he used to so sometimes I can play his way, but he would use his thumb on the top two strings, and he'd play with his other fingers. But instead of doing that, I just, well, I can do that, but I just don't do it as much. I don't do it as much as he did. He played that way, and he and I can still play that way or whatever. But so he was pretty good, and he taught. He liked to, he started to lay down on the couches or in beds, but he used to walk around more when I was a little kid. He used to walk around more when I was a little kid, and he ate more than one egg. He might. I don't remember. I couldn't remember him eating any more than one egg, but I think they just made me one egg. I think they just made me one egg because I was small. I was a little boy, so they just made me one egg. And sometimes they'd put toast with butter on it, and it was pretty good. And then one time, see, he made this special cereal that, I don't know, it was like also with eggs, and he like mixed Rice Krispies with eggs. he mixed he mixed Rice Krispies with eggs, and he'd call it like eggy or something like that. I don't remember what he called it. And he'd like make cereal with eggs, and it tasted really good. And I used to eat that. And then one time, I eventually became a vegan. It's awful, but I like eggs. I'm gonna eat them probably after this, but I don't know. And I don't. It's just an egg. People can eat eggs. And then, so he made cereal, Rice Krispies and eggs, and he mixed it together, and I think he cooked it somehow, and put it in the microwave, or I don't know. And so then somehow this girl was my girlfriend in high school, but I was afraid to have sex with her because she had a baby, and I was so young. It was like I just felt wrong. I don't know why. It was wrong. I didn't want to have sex, and I waited till I got married pretty much to get to finally have sex as much as like with my wife. And you're supposed to wait to have sex with your wife. So I think God stopped me from doing things like as much as I would have. I don't know. And so I had this girlfriend in high school, and I just wasn't as attracted to her sexually, because one time I saw what she looked like, and she had stretch marks on her breasts, and had a baby already, and I thought, it was just nothing. There was no sex about it. It didn't look sexy to me. I didn't like it. I was so young that it was just like, I couldn't believe she already had a baby, and so I wasn't attracted to her. And then she said one time when I made the eggs and Rice Krispies, she said, throw that away. I don't like that. She said, don't eat that. What is that? And and then So I ended up just leaving her. I just left her behind in Roanoke and moved to California when I was 19. She was only my girlfriend for a few months, I think. And so I just, but when I was in California, there all these other girls liked me finally, and I wouldn't be with them. The two most popular ones at the school when I went to Otis College as a teen, it was just like it wasn't. I didn't get accepted to the school, but it was a summer program at Otis College, and the one most popular one of the two most popular ones had a crush on me and really liked me for some reason. And I thought it was wrong. I felt like it was wrong to do anything with her because I had that girlfriend back home who I wasn't even really attracted to, but I liked being around her, kind of. I liked being around her a little, and she was like, I don't know. So I thought it was wrong to cheat on anybody because it felt like it was bad. So I wouldn't even be with a popular girl who actually, there are these two most popular ones who looked really good. One was small and looked really attractive, and the other one was like taller, and the taller one liked me. And they were tan and had dark hair. I don't. It wasn't something that I was worried about back then. That was like, but they actually, and they were I think 16, 17, 18, or 19, and I was 19, and they put all these teenagers in the classes together, and we all lived in a hotel room, like the dorms or something. But I wouldn't be with a girl. I don't even know how old she was. Maybe 17, 18, or 19. I don't know. And so I just wouldn't be with her because I had that girlfriend back home. And then when I went back home, I wasn't attracted to that girl anyway. And I said, I'm just going to leave. I moved to California, and then I had to be with no one for about 3 years. And or 20, yeah, there's 3 years, and I didn't like being alone. And I finally met Danica, and then everything was okay. When I met my wife, it made everything okay. Like everything was okay. It didn't matter that I was like didn't have as much money back then and stuff because I used to. Well, the places I had to live in California didn't have that much stuff when I was a student. When I was a student, but she had money. She got to stay. She had her own good apartment. Well, it was a studio. It was just a studio, but it was on the beach. And her dad, she didn't even have to stay in the dorms. I had to stay in the dorms, and she had her own cool apartment at the beach, like 2 blocks away from the beach. But we never went to the beach. She wouldn't get in the water. She didn't like going in the ocean. She thought it was like dirty or something. I don't know. But she sometimes maybe lets her feet go in, but she didn't want to go all the way in the water because they have all those like people in public. She's like a real princess, and so I don't know why she did that. I would have just gone in the water. I didn't know, and I don't know. But Krista, my sister, goes in the ocean. She really likes the ocean. She lives near the ocean now in Virginia, and she has lived in other places in the ocean because she was in the army or something. She was in the army. But some people like going in the ocean. They surf and stuff like that. Just Danica was like too. She was like, she didn't like doing stuff like as sometimes if it was too. She was like a princess. Like she didn't. Like she knew how to roller skate, and she wouldn't roller skate at the at the skating rink. And I liked that because I remembered as a kid, as a teenager, there's like girls who looked good when I was a teenager, and they would roller skate. And I thought it'd be so fun if she actually went roller skating because she liked to roller skate. And it would have been something fun we could have done in Roanoke. And she just was afraid, and I couldn't get her to roller skate. It was awful that she didn't do it. I don't know. And she'd watch the kids roller skate. She'd stand on the side and watch the kids roller skate. She's pretty good. I guess I'll just go, but I don't even know if she's my wife anymore. I got angry at her today and said the worst thing in my thoughts to her. I said something like, with all I had, I told her I hate her. With all my thoughts. It was so bad. So I may not even be married to her anymore. because it felt really annoying this morning. It felt worse and worse, and I was eating random things and I didn't want to eat, but I had to, and I think I didn't eat that much. I just had some tortilla chips and blueberries and some other things, and so I may try to drink coffee again and fast because I didn't really eat that much. Maybe I had like 400 or 380 calories. I haven't even had that much. I don't know. I'd have to add up the calories. I've been fasting so much, and it's just so hard to do with that much coffee. And I was thinking about the baby. I was trying to make the blueberries all ready so the baby would have blueberries, and I was thinking about her through the, like from wherever she is, and I kept trying to write to Danica so I could talk to them. And like got the blueberries all ready, and it was like pretending in my thoughts or hoping somehow I could they would get the idea that since they're alive there, and people have like, well, people feel things in their heart and in their soul, and maybe somehow there's some way to communicate with them from here. But I kept writing her and she wouldn't write back, and it was so annoying, and I just got angry and I said something like I hate her, and it felt like I had this like piece of cancer or a worm or something like that of anxiety like on a part of my body, and it wouldn't go away. And it was really annoying, but it was like it turned into a worm, thank God. So it was just, and it was in my thoughts, and it was so annoying, and it wouldn't go away, and I didn't know why, and it was because I think it was because there's this guy who I was mean to, and I didn't want him to die of cancer, so I had to do that for God and Jesus. I had to feel that on my head or wherever it was, and pretend that I had like I had to feel like that I was almost like going to get cancer, and then by some miracle it turned into like a thought of a worm and a crazy anxiety, like a worm going into my body. Like, why would it be a worm? That doesn't make any sense. And then it like, I guess because I was acting like those scary people who were dead, like the Beetlejuice or whatever. But that's because I felt like I was gonna die of some other thing a few weeks ago, and then that's why I started really working out and getting in better shape. And I think they did that to me as like to see if it would break me down to my worst, and then I'd like really have a reason to work out and feel better, and then finally be okay. And so then it turned into some anxiety about my dad, and then it made it go away. It was like some anxiety about thinking that he had something on his body that looked like weird, like a mole or something like that. And I kept having to think about it, and it was like on various parts of my body, and I didn't know what it was, and I had to go through that. And then before that happened, and then it all went away. It was like an anxiety or something, or I had to go through it for God and Jesus to so the guy who I was mean to back in 2015 wouldn't end up, like I was afraid he would I was afraid he'd get cancer because I was mean to him, because he was mean to me. He did something. He wrote to me. He wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad. He was like gay, and he wrote to me on the computer and said something like some thing like, because he was just, that's how he is, and I just wouldn't have ever been gay with him. And so I was a homophobe back then, and I was really mean, and I acted like it was just awful how I was after that. And so I was afraid he might die one day, and it would be my fault. And so I had to act like I had cancer on my body in various places and suffer, and I had to go through that all morning. And so I asked God with all I had, so that guy doesn't die, for me to have anything that any cancer or anything like that that it would have killed him, for me to go through it instead of him, and for God to be in control, not some random person. For God to be in control. And I've never been gay. I don't like being gay. I'm not a fucking gay person. I just don't like the way it is, and that's why I was probably, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with why I was so mean to him. So I felt bad about how I was years ago. It was pretty bad. I wasn't even, it wasn't even really how I feel. I believe in gay rights and stuff like that when I'm being a liberal, and I believe in not gay rights, but like being kind of black people. I don't believe in being gay. I don't believe in being gay. I know it's wrong, and I know they're not supposed to do it. But if they do it once or twice in their life or something, I don't know. That I think they can still make it to heaven because in the Bible it says if they make a practice of homosexuality, if they make a practice of homosexuality, then they'll die in the lake of fire. They'll burn in the lake of fire. However, anytime they do a homosexual act, it's an abomination, is what they say about the Lord. So, is what the God says about them. Homosexuals, see, it's not that bad, but it will kill them one day. They may be 98 when they die of it. They might be 42, or they might be 103 or 78. But when they die, it will be from being homosexual, because that's what the Bible says, is that they'll die from doing a homosexual act. And that's what it really means, is that one day when they die, it will be from that. And they likely would have lived longer, and it may kill them a little earlier. It may kill them a little earlier than, it'll likely kill them earlier than than if it didn't do it. But so there are some other sins that may have killed them. I don't know. But they'll die from homosexuality, is what it says. And then it says if they make a practice of homosexuality, meaning if they continue doing it, like they continue doing it, then that's bad, and then they'll burn in the lake of fire after they die. So so I just never liked it. For me, I'm not gay. I don't want someone, like, if I looked at a man, like all those schools, when I was going to schools growing up in junior high and high school, when I saw all those girls walking around, I liked girls. That's what I liked. And I don't like eating. I'm not weird. I don't like children or something like that. But I used to like seeing them, and I was attracted to them, and I wanted to do the rock star stuff like the guys who got to be with the girls, and that was my problem. And so that was like, but I hardly ever got to do it, and it was mostly like temptation that I didn't get to do until I was with my wife, and then everything was okay. And everything was okay when I got to be with my wife, but I don't know if she's my wife or not. Yeah, she's my wife. I don't know. It's awful if she's not my wife. But then maybe God has a different plan for me. I don't know. And it's been so awful. Oh, shit. Oh, a bee. A bee. Is that the... Oh, I kicked the crap out of this wasp. Wait, what is that? A bee. He's nice. Bee. Get out of here. You gotta go. He wants to go outside. He wants to go outside. He is good. He is good. Ah! Oh, shit. No. A bee. A bee. A bee. He flew outside. Oh, I heard all his bees. I've been being really nice to bees, and I heard hundreds or thousands of them down there. I heard them. There are bees somewhere down there. I heard them all making their bees. They're making honey, and they're doing stuff like that. I heard them down there. So if they cover up your entire body, if they cover up my entire body, just don't worry about it. Just be nice to bees, and then they're not gonna hurt you. They're not gonna cover up your entire body. But if one landed on your finger or something, just be nice to them. But that's too creepy for me. I don't do it. But Inga let one land on her finger. I might let a bee land on my finger. I think I've let a bee land on my finger, but not a bumblebee. Those are a little too scary because they're big. But that's who I was nice to right then, a bumblebee. And so Ingo, the lady who built this neighborhood with the George, she didn't really build it. George, her husband, did, but she worked on the house. So I'm gonna go. Hi, Mrs. J. Kill. Hey, people, like the video. Hi. So I got the place more ready, but it got a little messier. And this guy's coming here from. This guy's gonna look at the house. So I was eating some. So anyway, Rick Moranis, 1985. He's 62 years old now. Shit. No, it's okay. He's cool. He's 54. Who gives a crap? Get me away from him. Anyway, so I'm Rick Moranis from Ghostbusters. I'm gonna close the door. Oh, how do I get inside my house again? I'm gonna close the door and go out here. Anyway, I was gonna do something. Oh no, how do I go in? It's closed. It won't get open. How do I get in here? Oh, I'm stuck outside. No. I'm not gonna do that. When I do, I'll have a bunch of money so I can stay almost anywhere I felt, kind of. But I have to save every dollar if I want to continue being able to, you know, it's not been easy. I've had to sweep this place and stuff and get, the whole place looking good. So I'm going to go. Praise God, praise Jesus. Praise God, praise Jesus. I'm going to go. Bye. Praise God, praise Jesus. Bye.